Alright, Jim here. And you can see the scooters I have sort of amassed during these reviews. And I wanted to go through them and show some of the key differences and maybe talk about, get a little closer here, talk about some of my wish lists for scooters. And maybe that helps you out. Maybe chime in on the comments and see if we get some commonalities or some things that people like or don't like about these ones. And I'm going to grab another camera and we're going to browse through them and see what we got. Alright, the scooters I'm going to be looking at here, we got the EcoReco S5, the Zoom Strider. This is not the EX, this is the previous model to the EX. We got the Glion Dolly. We got the 08 and the 09. The thing I want to highlight is tire size. So one thing you'll notice right away is a pretty large difference, right, between the models. And so we got the EcoReco has 6-inch solid tires. Come over to the Zoom Strider, which has 8-inch solid tires, as does the Glion Dolly, also 8-inch solid tires, front and rear. When you get over here to the 08, you got an 8.5-inch air front tire and a 8-inch rear solid rubber tire. And on the 09, we get a 8-inch air front tire and an 8-inch rear air tire. 8.5-inch, sorry. These are both 8.5-inch on the 09. And the other thing I really wanted to show, I mean, it's just to show size, right? And I'm gonna go here I'm gonna kind of go down the line on the deck size. So there's some similarities here at first, where you get about a 18-inch long is kind of the standard deck on all of these. I haven't measured the 09, but I'm going to just go down here so you can see. So this EcoReco deck, if I recall right, it's 5.5 inches wide, which is the same with the Zoom Strider and the Glion. They're all pretty similar. The 09 here, you get it's 7 inches wide, and it looks to me like the 09 is even a little bit wider. So let me give you another angle of that. From the back of the scooter forward, 09, 08, Glion Dolly, Zoom Strider, and the EcoReco S5. Another thing that's pretty different on some of these is the way the handlebars are. EcoReco has just a slip-in collar that's, they work pretty well, they're pretty solid. The Zooms are very easy and quick to pop in. The Glion also, it's the same type of sliding collar. There's a lot more wiggle on those. And both of the 08 and 09 have the same style of sliding collar, but they have a threaded, it threads in, so you can tighten those in a little bit better. Okay. Looking at the display on each of these guys. So we got the display on the EcoReco. Got the display on the Zoom Strider. Got the display on the Glion Dolly. Probably unable to see it too well. The 08 and the 09, which is very similar. One more look at the handlebar setups. Most of these have a little extra bell. Looks like the only one that doesn't is the Zoom Strider. Similar battery indicators and that kind of stuff. Folding mechanism real quick. EcoReco is the only one that has this little lock hole, which is nice. But other than that, they're different, right? But they're all, and going through the different release mechanisms and kickstands, all of them besides the Zoom Strider, you're going to see in my garage there, have a kickstand integrated. The kickstand for the Zoom Strider appears to be the exact same one as the one that's on the Glion, and it doesn't seem like it's really works very well on the Zoom Strider, in my opinion. Kind of just generally on the motors, all of them besides the Zoom Strider have a rear motor. I'm not sure what I feel about that, but I do like that both the The 08 and 09 have a nice mechanical brake. The 09 has front rear disc drum setup. The 08 just has a rear drum. It works really well in my testing so far. The Glion has the strongest electronic brake. The Zoom, if you'll see my other video, is pretty weak on the braking, really weak honestly. And same thing with Eco Rico. It's got a drum brake in the rear that doesn't really seem to work. After I do this, I'm gonna just jump on each of these in turn, except for the 09. Just run up the block with my camera pointed right at the motor, so you can just get an idea of like what the motor noise is. You'll see a big difference between the scooters. Up here, this is the Zoom Strider. You'll probably notice it's one of the loudest of the group. So here we go. Go through my wish list on scooters and see what I think you need to have and which ones have it, which ones don't. I really think cruise control is a must-have if you're commuting. So like I said before, you got the Zoom has it, and both of the Zero scooters have cruise control. That being said, the twist throttle on this Glion dolly is pretty easy to hold in one position. Actually the Eco Rico does have cruise control as well. Does it? No, it doesn't. Sorry, no, it does not. It's harder to hold it at speed with the trigger throttles on both the Eco Rico and the Zoom. It's kind of jerky and it's hard to hold it in one spot. Displays, I really do like the integrated display, and part of the reason the Eco Rico and these ones kind of stick out like this, it's easy to replace. You can just take it off, and with the integrated one, you'd have to do more, or if it was really integrated into the scooter, you'd have to basically ship the scooter back, or a big portion of the scooter, to fix an issue with the control panel, versus them being able to just send it to you. Charging time, the Zoom is the only one with over a 2 amp charger. 2 amp is pretty standard. They all have 2 amp chargers. Zoom has a 3.5 amp. It does charge a lot faster. Typically that isn't coming into play for me, honestly. I'm not really letting it charge. I'm not in a time crunch for charging. And then weight's a big one, right? So the Zoom is the lightest. I'll have to look back. I think it was a little under 25 pounds, 24 something. Both the Eco Rico and the Glion are right about 28. The 08 is about 38, and I think the 09 is slightly heavier. Sorry, I did not weigh it yet. If I have before I put this video out, I'll put the weight on it feels heavier. And the big thing that lends itself to is if you're not pretty strong, 38 pounds is a lot if you're not lifting it properly. Portability is a big hindrance on this one, I think. If you're carrying any distance, you're not going to want to carry this far. Same thing with the Eco Rico. Even though it's 28 pounds, the stem is so big around, it's hard to hold. For portability, the Zoom is really easy to hold. It feels half the weight of the other ones, to be honest. And the Glion here with its dolly feature. So I'm going to fold each of these down. And so maybe you'll see, I don't know if I'll play any of that, but I'm going to fold them down all in turn and show them folded, and just a little portability. And then hopefully I didn't miss any of my, let me go through my wish list again. Alright. This is kind of a spur of the moment video, so I'm sorry about this. I'm in my driveway trying to take advantage of some light. So Alright, brakes. Mechanical brakes with an electronic brake to slow down. The Zeros do have the mechanical brake actuates almost like a Prius or a hybrid, where you barely touch the brake and you can set that braking level. The customizability is great in the Zeros. I like that. So I like some electronic and mechanical. The scuffer brake on the Zoom is in theory mechanical, but it doesn't do very much. Tire gets wet if you're moving fast. It's basically electronic. Acceleration, they all accelerate, even though there's a pretty big range of battery power here. We basically go from 36 volt 8 amp hour to 4813. So that's a pretty wide range of battery capacity, but the acceleration is within a second to 100 feet in all these scooters. Range, I kind of jumped around, didn't I? Back to my wish list. Brakes, acceleration, I'm not too worried about. I would like one that goes 20 miles per hour, so that I would like Chloe, come here. I would like the Glion to go a little faster. Everything else is sufficient. 17 miles per hour up feels fast. I prefer everything being able to go to 20. Range, I really find the range on all these to be okay. Of course, the manufacturers are not always true. Rarely are, honestly. All these will go at least 10 miles on a charge. The Zoom and the EcoReco kind of the lowest in the 12 range, 12 to 13 range. And both of these, I got almost 20 miles in range on the 08 and 17 on my max on the Glion Dolly. At a much slower speed, honestly, of these two, but good range. Sorry, I gotta get the dog. Chloe! Look. Sorry, I had to get this culprit. Alright. Sorry about that. Alright. So I was talking about range. I think I covered it. I think if you just look at them, you see you're getting a lot more scooter for your money. It's probably not as portable. Comfort, I think I talked about the suspension. I really feel like suspension with a decent amount of travel and some at least 8-inch tires is necessary. Especially if you're going over tracks, light rail tracks, railroad tracks, cracks and curbs. You really need it. So personally, I wouldn't look, when I'm getting scooters to review, I really want a scooter that I'm willing to ride quite a bit, and I can give you a nice, really in-depth review. But so 8-inch tires and up. That's my vote. Lighting. There we go. So there's a front light on the Zoom Strider, and you can see it has a tail light. On the other hand, the Glion Dolly that it's up against here has a headlight. And just a reflector, which I think is weak, totally weak. And then the EcoReco, hopefully I'm not getting too much glare from the sun. I might be. I'm going to go to the angle like this. Has a really nice rear tail light that actuates with the handbrake. The EcoReco does as well. I mean the Zoom Strider, but it's not very light, not very bright. But as you can see, the EcoReco doesn't have a headlight. Now we come over to the Zeros, which lighting is they're great on lighting. You can see you got multiple lights, deck lights. So on the 09, we got a nice long stem light, which is pretty sweet. We got some deck lighting. And both the 08 and 9 have rear brake actuated flashing rear lights. So that's a great feature. The last thing I want to talk about is deck height, but I want to talk about it as related to rideability. The Zoom Strider is the only one with what I would call a deck height that is rideable for, that is kickable for any distance. These both are you can kick both of these, but the Zoom's a lot easier to kick because of its fairly low deck height with good clearance. So I'm going to bring the other scooters up here for comparison, so you can kind of see it here going down the line. The Eco Rico has got a higher deck height, difficult to kick for any distance. The 08 is, besides just kicking off, it's just too high to kick off, to kick as you're riding, like if you're riding at low speeds. 7 inches. Pretty sure that's 6, 4, and 5, I think. The last is 09. 09, I have a measurement now, it looks pretty much the same as the 08 on deck height. I might have already said this, but I mean, a lot of this comes down to what you want to use the scooter for and your preference. I like being able to kick manually. I like good brakes. Acceleration, it's fun to have some good acceleration and some modes. So, I mean, most of the Bees have multiple speed modes. The Glyon does not. The Eco Rico does, but it takes rewiring to get to them. The Zoom has them. It's a little bit strange if you don't get an indication of what mode you're in. And the Eco mode doesn't actually give you any additional range, it just gives you slower acceleration, which for beginners could be better. And you can't use cruise control on the Zoom in Eco mode. Both of the Zeros give you multiple speed ranges and a lot of ability to customize amount of acceleration, amount of power. So that's pretty slick. I don't know, I would assume down the road some of these other scooters probably want to catch up with that. But then you got the weight consideration. So hopefully this is helpful. Here's one more look at them all. Basically from 36 volt 8 amp hours. So looking down the line, we got the Glyon Dolly, Zoom Strider, Eco Rico S5, 08, and 09. Feel free to leave a comment on some wish list items for you that you'd like to see on scooters, and we'll get on detail reviews on the ones here that I haven't reviewed yet, and see you the next time I see ya. Thanks. Catch the wave.